law enforcement officers can use both appropriate and inappropriate strategies to cope with stress. Whether a police officer uses appropriate or inappropriate approaches depends on the officer's understanding the stressful situation, making sense of it, and developing appropriate responses to it. Inappropriate coping approaches frequently do not deal directly with the problem and therefore are not likely to relieve the individual's anxiety. Indeed, inappropriate coping strategies are more likely to make the stress worse and have a negative effect on job satisfaction. Research has shown that police officers utilize coping mechanisms that increase stress rather than alleviate it. Statistics show that 20 to 25% of working police officers are chemically dependent on either alcohol or drugs. This chemical dependency may lead to other work-related problems, such as missed work or late for work, intoxication on duty, complaints by supervisors and citizens of misconduct on duty, traffic accidents, and an overall decrease in work performance. Alcohol use among police may be underestimated. Many officers, fearing departmental discipline, are unwilling to officially report their dependence. Alcohol has been found to be a factor in suicide, and police use of alcohol may be precipitated by stress. Up until a few years ago, alcoholism was by far the most common chemical dependency problem faced by officers. Today, the most common dependency problem of officers is the painkiller. Over the past few years, there has been an increase in officers addicted to painkillers and sleeping medication. There are numerous treatment programs available. Two examples include Safe Call Now and Living Green Foundation's First Responders Addiction Treatment Program. In addition, officers can check with our own Human Resources Department for the contact information for our Employee Assistance Program. The physiological consequence of hypervigilance leaves law enforcement officers feeling detached, isolated, and apathetic to social interaction. However, it can also leave them with a sense of irritability, frustration, and emotional volatility. One of the tragedies facing law enforcement families is officers returning home after dealing with the unsolvable social problems only to have the frustration, irritability, and anger caused by the job transferred into domestic violence after experiencing normal disagreement or annoyance at home. Officers who are angry often transfer that emotional distress into physically inappropriate behavior. Officers and families say things they can't take back, and unfortunately, this can lead to acts of physical violence. The first thing an officer should do when they realize they have some emotional issues related to the job is to make a conscious decision to survive. Survivors place the central issues in their lives in their control. They understand what they control and what the agency controls. The ability to change what you can control and to accept and live with the things you can't is crucial for any officer's emotional survival. A much more helpful approach for the officer leaving work is to have the goal of not so much turning off police work as turning on something different. Being in a state of stress is not necessarily bad or unhealthy as long as the stress response is normalized and released once the stressor is no longer present. Imagine the stress of a difficult day at work. Once the workday is done, the work stress is technically in the past. However, most of us do not normalize our stress response. We carry it with us, bring it home, stew in it, rehash it, relive it, and take it to bed with us. This is when normal stress becomes unhealthy. The key to a healthy brain and body relationship to stress is in our ability to mitigate thought patterns, body responses, and down-regulate our allostatic load, which is the wear and tear on the body due to stress states over time. We've all heard the phrase, shake it off. This is as literal as it gets. Remember, the body in stress contracts the large muscles to prepare you to fight or flee. If those contractions remain engaged, the mind continues to perceive the stress as present. A quick way to soften those contractions is to use up the energy of the contractions. Shaking and twitching the body vigorously can achieve this, like the kind of twitching you might get when a shiver runs down your spine. When you do a vigorous full-body shake, the contracted muscles will begin to release because you've used the energy they were holding. They perceive the completion of the contracted state and will reset to a softer state. In a stress state, our breathing gets quick and shallow, keeping us in a state of arousal. If we begin to take longer exhales as though blowing out birthday candles, the breath deepens and the body starts to increase its levels of carbon dioxide. This helps us approach a more relaxed state, which then sends a signal to the brain that the stress response can return to normal. Think of those movie scenes where a person in panic is told to breathe into a bag. This is the same principle. Just as the body has the ability to regulate our stress response, our thoughts do too. In the moment of a lingering stress response, if you can influence your thoughts to focus on the ways in which your current environment supports your safety, well-being, or basic needs, you can begin to convince your midbrain that it can lessen its hypervigilant focus on threat. Once the brain perceives the current moment is comfortable or safe, it begins to decrease activity in the midbrain and return resources to the front of the brain, so we can begin to think clearly and gain a bigger perspective. Creative visualizations and brain training exercises increase your access to this natural skill. A simple regimen of these 3 brain hacks can increase your well-being, help you enjoy home life, limit the lingering effects your job has on your day, and offer you a sense of brain and body control that puts you in command. Spouses also need to understand the stressors officers experience while on duty. By gaining a deeper understanding of these issues through literature and communication, spouses can provide further support for officers. In addition, spouses can foster support by enabling the officer to talk as much or as little about the traumatic events they experience. Having a support network can be a huge asset to police families. Something as simple as providing child care for an evening so an officer and his or her spouse can spend time alone can be a great help. Because of an officer's long hours and shift work, alone time with spouses is often overlooked, and this is an important aspect of strengthening police families. Spending time with other police couples or friends. It can be beneficial to have friends who experience similar challenges and who can relate to the challenges of coping with life as a law enforcement family. While it can be beneficial to know other law enforcement families, it is just as important to maintain friendships with couples who are not involved in law enforcement and work in different professions. This is advantageous because both officers and spouses can benefit from learning conflict resolution strategies and life perspectives that are not associated with the police mindset. It is important to have police officers as friends. They understand what you go through on a daily basis, and it is good to maintain these relationships. A good law enforcement friend or supervisor can help you sort through stresses, stay grounded, and help you with your self-management and control. Our agency also has a peer support system in place where select officers are designated to help other officers who have experienced a traumatic event. All officers are able to communicate with peer officers in a private setting to talk about what's going on with their lives. The Cognitive Behavioral Therapy Center of Western North Carolina has contracted with Buncombe County to provide the embedded behavioral services to the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office. This group will have an on-site presence Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, with Rick Baker covering Monday and Wednesday, and Dr. Diana Oram here on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Their office is located in room 458 at the main Sheriff's Office, 60 Court Plaza. Services can be provided on site at the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office and also off-site at the group's office on Tunnel Road for anyone desiring services away from the Sheriff's Office. All services through Dr. Oram and Rick are 100% confidential. Some of the services they and their group provides on-site or off-site include evidence-based treatment for PTSD and acute stress, evidence-based treatment for depression and anxiety, substance abuse assessment and treatment, counseling for career transition issues such as promotion, end of career, etc., treatment designated for law enforcement families, partners who struggle with the demands and stressors of their law enforcement officers' families' career, clinical participation in peer support responses such as debriefings and diffusing, and brief interventions. Dr. Oram and Rick also hope to work with the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office to expand their services beyond the list above to meet the demands of the department. To access services or ask questions, stop by their office or call 828-779-0544 to schedule a time to meet with one of them. Again, all services are completely confidential and usually brief. Most treatments only requiring a few visits. In addition, there are other ways to help reduce the impact of police stress on a marriage. Officers should work to maintain an identity aside from being a police officer when they're off duty. This can be accomplished by developing hobbies or regularly participating in activities that are not associated with law enforcement. Having a separate life and identity outside of policing enables officers to reduce the burden of always feeling as if they are on the job. Physical fitness is not a luxury for law enforcement officers. It is a basic requirement if they are to become emotional survivors. The very act of engaging in physical fitness means the officer is taking control and responsibility for his or her time and actions each day. Physical exercise has significant stress-reducing components that give the officer a sense of relaxation and generalized well-being. The Wall Street Journal issued a report that more than 40% of police officers, firefighters, and security officers are obese. The FBI also conducted a study that found 8 out of 10 police officers are overweight. Missing from both of these reports are reasons why officers are overweight and obese. Weight issues and obesity can be caused by a number of things. The Mayo Clinic found the leading causes of obesity are inactivity, poor eating habits, and lack of sleep. While these causes often apply to those in law enforcement, there are many additional factors that contribute to weight issues and obesity in officers. Police officers have a dangerous job. They are regularly exposed to domestic violence, death notifications, suicides, homicides, and many other serious crimes. When responding to calls for service, officers must always be prepared to encounter life-threatening situations. Such situations cause immense levels of stress and over the years can take a significant toll on officers' physical and mental well-being. The law enforcement officer does not have the option of passively waiting at the bottom half of the hypervigilance roller coaster for the effects to correct themselves. Physical fitness will accelerate movement out of the lower reaches of the roller coaster and back into the normal range of motion. Physical fitness moves the off-duty officer upward, back between the lines, and into the normal range of motion and social interaction. Approximately 30 to 40 minutes of aerobic activity, 4 to 5 times per week, appears to be adequate in increasing an officer's off-duty activity levels. 30 to 40 minutes of aerobic activity raises the bottom portion of the roller coaster back within the normal limits. Anaerobic exercises such as weightlifting and other strength-related equipment, which, although highly beneficial for the health and strength of the officer, does not have as direct an effect on the hypervigilance roller coaster as does aerobic exercises. Aerobic exercises could include exercises such as walking, biking, basketball, racquetball, running, or any exercise involved with specialized aerobic equipment. There are endless jokes about police officers and donuts, and the reality is that an officer's work schedule makes it difficult to eat well. When on patrol, officers must often eat fast food because it is quick and convenient, and they are able to eat it between calls for service. In addition, officers often drink coffee or other caffeinated drinks to stay awake on long shifts. Officers' diets tend to be high in calories, served in oversized portions, and lack fruits and vegetables, all of which contribute to weight gain. Packing a lunch is the easiest way to eat healthy on duty. Willpower is a finite resource, and you use a lot of it making decisions while on patrol. When it's break time, your reserve of willpower might be drained, and the temptation for junk food can be strong if you don't have anything on hand. Planning ahead and packing a healthy meal takes away the need for willpower at break time because your meal was decided ahead of time. As an added financial bonus, packing your lunch saves money in the long run. Whether you're eating on or off duty, a few basics apply whenever you sit down for a meal. Avoid empty calories. Processed junk food like soda, chips, and candy are a cheap and easy way to get something quick, but they provide empty calories that will cause your energy levels to crash later, and they encourage your body to store fat. You wouldn't put dirty gas in your patrol car, so don't put it in your body. Eat nutrient-dense whole foods. Choose to eat real foods like meat, vegetables, fruit, eggs, and nuts whenever you have the option. You won't always be able to plan ahead. Sometimes you aren't able to pack your lunch and you have to choose other options. If you are eating at a sit-down restaurant, most places offer grilled meat and vegetables, salad with a meat topping, or omelets. Any of these options will give you the protein you need to feel full and support muscle growth. Swap fries or chips for a side salad or seasonal vegetable option or a fruit cup, and you'll avoid feeling bloated and tired later. Avoid fast food whenever possible. However, if you're working nights, it may be the only 24-hour, 7-day option available. You can eat healthier at Burger Joint by ordering your burger wrapped in a few leaves of lettuce instead of a bun, or not eating the bun. You can order fresh fruit or a side salad instead of French fries. Finally, choose water or black coffee over the giant fountain soda. It is important for all people, including law enforcement officers, to get about 7 to 8 hours of rest every single evening. To do that, you need to have a good sleep hygiene. Make sure that your sleeping area is dark, the sheets are clean. Control the outside noise by having a noise machine, relaxing music, or use earplugs. If possible, do not eat at least 1 to 2 hours before going to bed, and do not use caffeine at least 4 hours before bedtime. Do not drink alcohol or use sleep aids. There should be natural sleep patterns. Try not to watch TV or use your computer for 1 hour prior to sleeping, as these items are stimulating to the brain. Instead, try to find a relaxing activity such as reading a book, relaxing with your children or loved ones, talking to others, or meditating. You need to understand what normal trauma and stress responses are and what they are not. This will help you to identify what is normal and when it is time to get additional help. Most problems, including psychological and biological, can be solved more easily when dealt with from the very beginning. In times of stress, people will have physiological reactions, rapid heart rate, short breaths, sweating, shaking, etc. These occur so the body can shut down some non-essential body systems to have more energy for the fight or flight system. However, if you continue to have the physiological reactions when you are no longer in an actual stressful situation, this is a sign that you may need more support. It is also common to have intrusive thoughts right after a traumatic incident, but they should lessen and not interfere with your daily routine. If this is occurring, you may need additional support. Sit down and brainstorm what you really want to achieve in your career, with your family, and in life in general. When brainstorming your goals, speak with your supervisor to get his or her input on your work goals to ensure they align with the department's vision. In similar fashion, talk with your family members to get their input on your goals. The outcome of your brainstorming session becomes your target and your primary objectives. Think about your goals in multiple stages and set micro, midterm, and long-term goals. Micro goals are goals that you want to accomplish on a daily basis. These should help you accomplish your short-term goals, which ultimately help you achieve your long-term goals. Maybe you want to be promoted at work, so reading recent news articles, applying to college and get an advanced degree, or reading a book about taking the police advancement test would be supporting micro goals. Midterm goals are usually goals you want to achieve in 1 month or to a year. Define the goal as well as what is to be accomplished. Be specific, because general goals without a clear and concise time frame and outcome are very difficult to achieve. Long-term goals usually require about 5 years to achieve. Again, these goals need to be specific to make sure you work toward them over time and know when you have accomplished them. Adopting this type of goal-setting strategy is effective because it is the little accomplishments, the micro goals, that help you build the momentum and self-confidence needed to achieve your short and long-term goals. As you work toward your goals, be sure to visualize yourself accomplishing each one. A positive attitude will come naturally when you feel that you are on track to reach your goals. Let me leave you with these final tips for coping. Cherish your family. Congratulate yourself on victories. Create an outside hobby. Celebrate the good things in life. Eat healthy and exercise regularly. Remember your priorities in life. Control and prioritize the time that you spend off duty. Your job should not be your first priority. It should not define who you are, but rather something you do. Once officers reach the point of being emotional survivors, they experience a significant reduction in anxiety and defensiveness. They focus on being the best officers they can be and then move on to more important things. Emotional survivors may appear to finish in last place, but that is because they are usually running a different race. Becoming an emotional survivor can be a decision an officer makes at any point in a law enforcement career. The journey through law enforcement career does not have to lead to the devastation and loss that it so often does. Just as law enforcement professionals practice street survival, they must practice emotional survival. They need to be shown and mentored and modeled across the years of service.